is with us now. He is the deputy whip of the House Progressive Caucus. Okay, so much closer to an agreement this morning, for sure, than we saw in the last couple days. Do you think we'll see a vote by next week?
Brianna, I'm optimistic. When we met with the president yesterday, he emphasized that he wants to get this done before going to Glasgow. He needs this for our leadership to tackle climate change. I think that message got through to members of Congress.
So 1.75 to 1.9 trillion, down from 3.5 trillion. Is that enough?
Well, obviously, the House progressives would want more, but let's look at what is in this. It's the first time ever we're going to have universal preschool. Every American kid is going to get to go to preschool. We're going to have child care. We're going to have elder care. We're going to have vision, dental, hearing. So the exact details are still being worked out. I believe that Senator Sanders, Senator Manchin are meeting. If Senator Sanders signs off on something, I think the progressives will follow.
A number of those things you mentioned will be pared down. Free community college is out. You did not mention that, but that's out. Paid family leave cut down to 4 weeks from the 12 weeks that you wanted in these contours of an agreement here. As you mentioned, universal pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds. You wanted that climate change provision still up in the air. Are you progressives settling on this essentially being a kids and climate bill?
No, I mean, the seniors are in there with dental, vision, hearing, and this is transformative in making an investment on children and education and making an investment on health. It's something that we haven't done. And so, yes, would we want 12 weeks of paid leave? Yeah, absolutely. But is it good that our country is finally saying we need paid family leave? Again, the details will be worked out. I don't think anything has been decided. But progressives understand we have to compromise to get 50 votes, 51 votes. That's the reality.
Let's talk about women. Because when you're looking at 4 weeks of paid leave in the context of maternity leave instead of 12 weeks, that is a woman going back to work less than a month after having a baby. So a tiny newborn at home. Better than nothing, I'm sure you would say, but is that really delivering for poor and middle-class women who have really borne the brunt of this pandemic?
Brianna, you're right. 4 weeks is not enough. And we as a progressive caucus are pushing for more weeks. In fact, what we have said is even if we can't do it for as many years, let's set the precedent at 12 weeks. Let's certainly do it more than 4 weeks. And that's why this is an ongoing negotiation. I don't think 4 weeks has been settled. We understand, though, that we have to compromise to get something done. And right now we have no paid family leave. And that reality is something that progressives understand.
And the child tax credit, right? So if you're seeing that being pared down, it's not going to be extended beyond an extra year. How is that not, parents, in particular women, really paying the price of these cuts here?
Well, first of all, there was no child tax credit extension before President Biden came. Now we, with the Democrats in Congress, have said $300 a month for people with kids. Most working class and middle class families are getting that. We extend that at least through 2022, and then we'd extend it again. I mean, I want 10 years. But the question is, how much can we extend it? And I think the president and many people feel once we extend this, the Republicans won't be able to take it away. But one of the questions we have to ask is, why is there not a single Republican in the Senate or the House willing to help American families and vote for something like a child tax credit?
You don't need Republicans.
Well, it would be nice. There used to be Republicans who were for Social Security, for Medicare. I mean, how can you be pro-family and not for the child tax credit? So we're in a reality where we don't have a single Republican vote. We're going to extend it, but we expect that once people have it, it'll be hard for Republicans to repeal it.
Theoretically, if you were to get to Republican votes, you would need to win over Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin first, right? And you've heard on climate, which is so important to progressives like yourself, on climate change provisions. Joe Manchin is adamantly opposed to the carbon tax. That appears to be a red line for him. So in that case, what do you need to preserve here realistically that you can get Joe Manchin to sign on to that is going to deliver, that is really going to be something you can genuinely say, hey, this is a big step towards staving off environmental calamity?
Brianna, the first part that's in the bill is over $300 billion of tax credits for solar and wind. That is important. But what we need to do is make sure that we reduce emissions by 50% in 2030. That is the president's commitment. We need more. If he doesn't want the clean energy program, we need alternatives. I believe I have a good relationship with Senator Manchin. I've been to Beckley, West Virginia. I believe we need to say 100,000 new green jobs are going to be in West Virginia. West Virginia is going to become the pilot for these new jobs. His concern is mining families. He doesn't want them to have a handout. He wants them to have new jobs and opportunities. He doesn't want them all in California. And we have to convince him that his state will benefit.
So when you're looking $3.5 trillion down to 1.7 or 1.9, much closer to that Joe Manchin number of 1.5 trillion, did progressives make a calculation in the end that something is better than nothing?
Progressives said this is one of the most transformative agendas of investment in health and education, and it's less than 1% of our GDP. It's not a big number. Finally, this country is saying, let's invest in the working class, let's invest in the middle class, not in the very wealthy. And the progressives say, this is progress, we can build on this.
It seemed, obviously, this is a move from where progressives were, where they were very entrenched. And they were very clear here in recent weeks that this actual price tag wasn't going to be enough for them, that they didn't feel like they could do enough with this, and that they felt like Joe Manchin wasn't giving enough. Has this changed? It seems in a way that progressives have said, actually, we're going to manage that number, that is better to have something.
Brandon, I can't speak for all progressives. I can speak for myself and many others who said that President Biden, this is his agenda, and we want him to make a fair compromise and a fair proposal, and we want to make sure that Senator Sanders is on board with it. And if that happens, we'll get on board with it. That's what we're working towards. Senator Sanders is still negotiating, so we're still pushing to make sure progressive priorities are there. And I think getting his support is going to be critical.
He's close?
He's committed to getting something done. I mean, he has been a very loyal soldier for this administration because he understands what's at stake. He wants to make sure we deliver as a party, but he also cares about his priorities. And I think for the progressives, having his support is going to be critical.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for getting up early and talking to us about this incredibly important piece of legislation.
Brenda, it's great to be back in studio. Thanks for having me.
Sure is, isn't it? CNN exclusive, President